Hey, welcome to the Two Stock Movies podcast. I'm Drew.
I'm Cam.
And today we're talking about the sci-fi masterpiece, or that's what people say. We're talking about Christopher Nolan's Interstellar from 2014. And today we're joined with a very special guest, Luke Brewer.
Lukey Pookie.
Yeah. How's it going, Luke?
It's going good.
Tell us a little about yourself.
I am a senior at Charleston High School here in town, and I am also an intern with the Daily Easter News, so I'm over here usually in the afternoons.
How'd you find this place? How'd you find us?
I lived in town, and last year with the journalism class at high school, we took a visit out here, and then whenever I knew there's an internship and wanted to go in journalism field, I just asked, and Joe was like, sure.
Oh, yeah. That's Mr. Joe Ejasandi, the legend and author, best-selling author.
JG.
Yeah. And, he begged us to be on the podcast this week. I'm just kidding. That's a joke. But we do know that one of your favorite movies is Interstellar. And tell us a little bit why it's your favorite movie.
So one of the things that I really like in movies is whenever they can give you something that just sticks with you and like you really remember parts of it. And I think Interstellar does a really good job of that in its world building and sound mostly.
And what aspects of it, was that kind of the aspect that made you think like, oh, this is my favorite part of it? Or was it like a specific element of it?
I think the story being more of a sci-fi driven thing is good too, because I like sci-fi movies. And so having good sound and shots to go along with a good plot, it just kind of all makes the movie good itself.
Yeah. And I don't understand because we covered the Dark Knight trilogy last year.
We did.
And Christopher Nolan directed those. And so he directed those and then Inception in 2010, Dark Knight Rises in 2012, and then this in 2014.
Yeah.
Man. How does he do that in such a quick turnaround?
I have no idea, but he does a really good job at it.
It takes me 6 months to write one paper.
Man.
It takes him a year to make something like this and Inception,
I wonder what the overlap's like. Like how many movies is he working on at one time? Because this, I don't know how you develop this, and like while you're doing the Dark Knight, the whole trilogy, and then Inception, that's
enough.
Yeah.
I think did he write this one?
He did.
He did.
Yeah.
Yep.
He wrote this one. He wrote Inception. He wrote Oppenheimer too, but that's obviously
later.
It's more of like a biopicture kind of.
What about Dunkirk? Did he write that?
I think so.
Maybe.
You think he co-wrote that with someone else? Because it's one of those things where I can see the turnaround being easier if he didn't write them and he's just coming in. Adapt it, but he literally has to come up with everything. I don't know. Maybe that's why he's making the big bucks.
He wrote that too. Jesus.
Yeah, the film stars Matthew McConaughey, Anne Hathaway, Timothée Chalamet, Matt Damon.
Yeah, Jessica Chastain.
Yeah, Topher Grace in one scene.
And I always think it's really stupid, but whenever I first watched Interstellar, I had never noticed Topher Grace from anything other than Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3.
Yeah.
And so then I saw him and I was like, that's Venom.
Yeah, we got Venom here in the hospital scene. Casey Affleck, I just saw Cam pull it up. Wes Bentley, is that right? On that left side?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Michael Caine. I didn't know
Michael Caine, yeah.
I didn't know his name was
John Lithgow.
Or I just knew him as Eddie Brock.
Yes.
Yeah. I didn't know that was.
Yeah, and I think.
Well,
yeah, because you're a fan of Oppenheimer.
I know.
I think it's crazy to see how many people, how many famous actors are in Christopher Nolan's movies. I feel like he's the only director nowadays that as soon as it's said oh, there's a casting call, A-list actors are swarming to go audition for it.
I think for Oppenheimer, I think it was Matt Damon. He said that he was going to take a break from acting, and the only way he would do it, and he was joking, was saying if Christopher Nolan called him, and then a month or so later, he got the call for Oppenheimer.
Yeah. I mean, I don't blame him.
Yeah. Christopher Nolan called me. I'm always answering them.
It is crazy to see these Matt Damon having a bit that bit part in this movie. Mm-hmm. Just not even a side character. It's just a minor part, and you're just you should be the main guy, right? You're a main actor guy.
I was thinking about that, having these bigger name people like Jessica Chastain. She was Chastain or Chastain?
Chastain.
Chastain.
I'll have her on next.
Jessica. Yeah, she didn't have the biggest role because half of the movie she's a kid at the beginning, and then
she plays a kid.
And then for the rest of it, she's barely shown. You see her later in the movie when they're trying to piece together the puzzle, but other than that, you don't really see her. So she's kind of a lower ranked actor, but there aren't that many big parts to play. You got Matthew McConaughey, you got Anne Hathaway, I guess
young Timothée Chalamet.
Yeah. He's in there for he was cool. I don't have any complaints about him.
Yeah, I thought he did good for that minor role.
Yeah, he kind of. I mean, when you're watching it, you're like, oh my god, Timothée Chalamet. But then like like if you were back in 2014, you're like, okay, like who is this guy? Like,
I actually didn't even know it was him until I just now watched it, and I've seen it before. I just didn't recognize that was him.
So
now he's banging Kylie Jenner.
Yeah,
and he's gonna be Wonka.
He is gonna be Wonka.
Oh, how time flies. Jeez. And he was on SNL the other day. But anyway, to go into our primary thoughts, Cam, what did you think about the movie overall?
Man.
Oh boy.
What a classic, man. No, I won't call it a classic. What a masterpiece. Because it's I don't know. Christopher Nolan is my favorite director, like ever. I think I've seen all of his movies except maybe his first one. I think that and Following.
Insomnia, is that the first one?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I've seen everything else. But dude, I don't know how like he comes up with this stuff, man.
I don't know either.
You think he like does drugs or something and it's like super high or whatever, and then
I mean, he might be. I don't know, because like you watch Inception, yeah, and see like clips of where buildings are folding in over each other, and it's like
he has to be doing drugs.
He has to
like
be.
you have to be.
Like
there's no way that you were just completely sober and thought that would be really.
No one's that creative.
Yeah,
in a sober mind.
Yeah. He's probably like with his, because him and his brother work a lot on these, and his wife, Emma Thomas, and I'm pretty sure they just have party and they get super drunk, and then they're probably at the release party, they're drinking, probably smoke some after.
And they're drunk from pre-production all the way to it being released. It's only when they're in the front row watching their movie premiere that they're like,
holy
this, what do we do?
Dude, but yeah, it's great. It's so crazy to think like there was a chance that I thought like he actually went to space and filmed it. Like that's how crazy it is.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
because it looks great, sounds great, is great. Acting is A1, great cast, and it's not a simple like sci-fi movie.
Mm-hmm.
And because you incorporate the father-daughter relationship into it, and it starts off so small, but over time you see the evolution of it. Because when, like you said moments and stuff, and then when he has that one-on-one, the phone call, or not the phone call, that's the video chats.
Yeah.
He's gone for X amount of years. How long was it?
32 years, I think. When they were on that little water planet, they got back and he's like, it's been 32 years.
And the water planet, I did write down, it's like 23 years.
Yeah.
On that water planet.
Was it 23 or was it 32?
On the water planet, just itself is 23 years.
Oh, was it?
There's like the time loop with black hole that adds on another bunch of time.
Jesus. And like about this movie, well, some with all Christopher Nolan's movies, Tenet being kind of like the bad version of that, is that it like doesn't hold your hand through anything. Like they're just talking about stuff, and I'm just sitting there like,
yeah.
But what he said, I'm like, I have no clue what he's talking about. And I think the film does a lot of good. It's like kind of similar to Oppenheimer, where it has a lot like a visual. Like they're like, okay, and they're writing pictures and like, okay, if we do this, and I'm like, thank you for doing that, because I don't know what you're talking about.
And that's one of the things I think that, like with the world building aspect that he did really, really good with, is I'm fairly certain at the time, like nobody actually knew what a black hole would look like. They just had like theorized paperwork of it.
And then
he read through the paperwork and then just drew something up. And what he drew and what's in the movie is what it actually looks like with the event horizon and like double fold.
Don't just say he just drew something up. I'm probably gonna like geek out this episode, but I saw that he taught himself quantum physics, and I don't know how. Yeah, I
wouldn't believe it. I don't know what they're smoking at those parties.
I don't know, dude. But
Christopher Nolan parties go hard,
dude. I saw he taught himself quantum physics, and he did the study to see what it would actually look like. And like he said, that's what it actually looked like. And the professor, I think he was at a college. He was at a college class, and then all he did was like he showed what it would look like, but it was just tilted another way. And I thought, this guy's a genius, man. I can go on and on about it, but.
Yeah, he's really talented with stuff that he does.
Dude, he's so freaking.
I'm gonna be honest. This isn't a bad thing, but like I think when I was watching, I think that like because we're talking about like the way it like displays like time, it's just time. I think that the film sometimes kind of cuts, and we're already like it doesn't like display the time change like very well. Like when they're on their way to Saturn. And it's like, it's like takes how long does it take to get to Saturn? Like
2 or 3 years, maybe 4.
And it like cuts, and like I personally didn't feel like that in between from this to here. Granted, that's kind of the point, I think. You're supposed to kind of feel like it's like that, and it's already been 23 years. Like when they're on the wave planet and everything, like I get that's what it's supposed to do, but that initial time when they're going to Saturn, and I'm like, wait, has this been 2 years? We missed a lot of like stuff going on, like all the camaraderie with them, like going on the ship, like to there. I feel like we could have used like a little more dialogue between him and Anne Hathaway before they got to that wave planet. But like it's a 3-hour movie, and there's a lot of crap we need to get through already.
I do agree with you that I think the early jumps in time traveling through space and stuff, they could have done something a little bit to build on that.
Yeah.
But I really liked on, I think it's Miller's Planet is the water. The way they establish time is as the theme plays. I think it's just called Mountains or something like that. There's like a little clicking you hear in the background, and every click is 1 day.
That's
Earth,
crazy.
and it adds up to 23 years.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Say it again.
So,
take it, Luke. Say it.
Dude.
So on Miller's Planet, like with all the water, right? Whenever the theme's playing, like the piano and stuff, there's a clicking that's in the background.
Yeah.
And every click is 1 day on Earth.
That's crazy. Like,
Whenever you add the clicks, it's 23 years.
Dude, he's so freaking cool.
well, wait. When they were on the water planet, what was it? Like every hour is
7 years on
Yes.
Earth. Yeah.
And so were they there for how long? Because it obviously it like took them time to like get out of that planet, right, and get back to the station.
Yeah. So whenever they left and got back, they had that.
It took them like hours to get back.
I mean, for them, yeah, it just was a few hours. But for
20, like
the guy whose name I cannot remember for the life of me, that was left on Endurance, he was there for 20. Romilly, yes.
Yeah.
But then they also explained that too with the person that was sent to Miller's Planet before them, and they found all the wreckage or whatever, and Cooper's asking like Brand about it, and she's like, based off impact and wreckage still being there, like for her, she only just landed and we showed up like right after, but
That's
it's
crazy.
years.
Yeah, they're talking about like it was a few minutes. It possibly was a few minutes before they had got there, which is crazy, man.
Or Doyle. Or Doyle just like no one cared. I mean, they cared, but then it's like,
Yeah, because they moved on pretty quick from that after.
and tell that to Doyle. Anywho,
Yeah.
I need to get home to my kids. I was talking to Luke before we recorded this. I guess I'll just ask you, if you were in Cooper's shoes, Matthew McConaughey,
Yeah.
would you go to space or would you stay with your family?
I have that in my notes. And
I would never go into space. I would.
I wanted to ask that too. I'll ask him, would I go? If I have that passion for it, nah. My kid's like 10 at the time, so
Like, yeah, because Luke was explaining to me like he was like minimum they'll be the same age when he gets back, and I'm like, still, that's 30 years. Like,
yeah, it's definitely an interesting time jump with that because I mean a lot like happened between them. I think at least the point whenever they get the call from his daughter saying that they're the same age, his son's one of his kids, like first kid or something, already died.
Yeah,
because the dust storms like suffocated him to death and whatnot.
do you think that because it's like we see them, he gets proposed the idea to go into space, and then it cuts, and he's already like packing his bag. Like, do you think that was a little too quick? That like jump from him like going like I'll have to think about it, to him going in his daughter's room going I'm doing it. Do you think that was quick? I thought it was kind of rushed a little bit.
because it seemed like he made up his mind when he got in the car
Quickly.
Yeah, and then like she was already mad, storming out. So I think so.
I could see it being rushed a little bit, but one of the things I mentioned to Drew as well about it was the information that the entire team was given, except for Professor Brand's daughter, was like the mission was due.
Imagine your dad coming back, like you're the same age as your dad. That's crazy. I feel
That would be
like
crazy.
Like forget time travel, just go into space.
I don't think I could leave because my kid's mom already died, and then already going to space is already a risk on its own. So both my kids' parents die. They're just SOL. So
Yeah. And I mean, the grandpa was there too, but I mean, shortly after they left, like
He's already.
He's already
once
up
the years
there.
got there, he was up there in age, and then he dies too, and so like it's just them.
I know. Did you guys like that element to the story where it's like a rush against time to get back? Like
I did enjoy that. I think it added a lot of
dread. I felt
dread and high stakes, especially with the expression you see in McConaughey's face with like, I think it's in the truck when he very first leaves, and like you can see the tears that go down, and like he's just really depressed about it, and like his head kind of like tilts to the side as he's driving, and you hear like the countdown with the rocket in the back.
Yeah.
Murph runs out, and
Dramatically, his daughter runs out, goes, "Dad!" Right when he drives away, it's like, "Oh my God, come on!" Like really, just give him.
maybe even hundreds. I honestly don't.
She's yeah.
I want to say
Timothy Chalamet's long gone.
I want to say
Oh, yeah.
80. Cause
80.
I want to say 80. Yeah,
Okay.
80, 90. Cause
Was she dying of health problems or just like old age?
I think old age.
Okay.
yeah, I want to say because she's about if she's 10 at the beginning, I want to say he's like 40, and then he's like 124. Because she was always on space,
That is true.
so I'd say about 90.
Yeah, 90s range would line up, I think.
Like such a freaking nerd.
That's crazy. That's a good scene though. Like I know we're skipping towards the end, but the end where like he comes into the hospital room and like everybody's surrounded him and he's like, I don't know. I just feel like it's such a, I don't know. It's kind of like you put yourself in like his shoes and her shoes. Like imagine if like I would like my child was like older than me and about to die, and like I'm the exact same age, like coming back. That's crazy. That's a crazy like prospect of an idea to shoot and everything. What do you guys think of that scene in general?
That scene was really eye-opening, I think, because whenever he opens the door to the hospital and all of Murph's family is there, like her kids, their kids, and so on, like there's a lot of people in that room, and as McConaughey looks at him, like he just does not care about them at all because he doesn't know him and like has no reason to. But the same is also true
Like-
for them because they just don't know who he is. They've never.
He's like prehistoric to them.
Yeah, they're just like a man out of time kind of thing.
Like Captain America.
Yeah.
For like honestly, it kind of is. That's kind of nuts.
And they both froze themselves.
That's
in
true.
Space.
Never
True.
seen it. Never seen it.
Never seen.
You've never seen Captain America?
Like the original?
Any?
I'm not a Marvel guy, bro.
Well, you should go watch the
You should
Marvels.
definitely watch them. Some of
You
the.
should go watch the Marvels because I hear that's getting great reviews now. Right, Luke?
What did I give it? I gave
With
it
God off.
It's terrible. I haven't
a
watched
3
it.
out of 5, I think.
Oh, it's not too bad. Did you see it?
No, I hear it's the worst one yet.
I heard it's
I
the
don't think
worst.
it's the worst one yet.
I heard it's the worst opening ever, like for a Marvel film.
Why's that?
I don't know.
See it
just
being
monetary value.
happening.
I don't know, just monetary value. But I think
Christopher Nolan directing a Captain America movie.
he wanted to direct James Bond. I think he's gonna work on that or something.
Really?
That's what I heard.
I heard about that too. I don't remember if the studio's still going through with that.
I'm not too excited about it. I like seeing his like original ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The smoke and drug and
yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Who knows what he'll come up with?
because when James Bond comes out and he might do a trilogy, I think that's what it was. They're gonna start comparing it to The Dark Knight, and yeah, I'm not with that because
Henry Cavill as James Bond.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
And I don't
Or Tom Hardy.
even remember if Nolan came to Warner Brothers and was like, I want to do Batman movies. I know it was like a Warner Brothers contracted thing. And so that's why he did the Batman ones, but
back on Interstellar. I think the scene. But man, when he was like, I told you I'd come back, or she like, I knew you'd come back, and he's like, how'd you know? He's like, 'cause my dad told me.
Yeah.
Like, how do you mix emotion so well and not overlapping with the science fiction aspect of it, and not make it corny?
Mm-hmm.
That, and then earlier when I don't know, it's just.
I think that was what was really good about the dialogue. It's just, it was so well written. Like the entire script in general was well written, but then there's all the little blurbs of dialogue that just really hit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because to me, like, that ending part was good, but the part like that got me is like obviously the scene where he's watching the videotapes that they play back, and like I talked about like the timing of scenes and everything, how time like progresses. I feel like that's such a because we see him like mess with like the thing or like recording before they like get to Saturn or whatever, and then it's like they're on the planet and the scene's like relatively quick, and then they get back and it's like 30 years go by, it's like, and that's it, or 20 years go by, and it's just like, and like that's on purpose. I'm obviously because they were supposed to like feel Matthew McConaughey, where it's just like, and there goes my entire kid's like teenage years and like early adulthood. It's like they have a kid died, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, and I feel like that was such a minor detail thrown into that.
Kid died?
Yeah, because of the dust stuff. But I don't know. Like you said, it's just there's so many little bits that are just kind of thrown into an already like mesmerizing script. I feel like it just gives it more like oomph to it.
And I mean, like there were plenty of quotes that, like as I was watching through it, that were either just kind of one-off quick beats that I thought were funny, or just ones that really stick with you. Tars had most of the
Tars,
the robot. I loved his humor; it was so funny. There was one where he says, "Everybody good, plenty of slaves from a robot colony," and then none of them found it funny, and they like reprogrammed him and turned his humor setting down.
Jeez, 90% truth. 10%, yeah, only 9%.
And then that became like a big plot point at the end, where like after the like Cooper falls into the black hole. And Brand's like, don't do this. And he just says 90% and then just presses the button and he's gone.
Yeah.
And I mean, with like the dialogue and stuff too, one of my favorite ones is whenever the Endurance gets blown up and is like spinning out of control. And Cooper's like going up and he's getting the thrusters changed or whatever. And Brand said it's not possible, and he said no, it's necessary. And then
come on, man.
I mean, it's a little corny. It's a little corny.
It's not though.
But then like, and then once No Time for Caution theme starts playing, and for caution is what it's called.
The song,
the theme name is No Time for Caution.
Gosh.
And like as it's spinning one way and he's spinning the other way, and then they sync up and they're both spinning the same way, and they get it like pushed back out of atmosphere. Like it's just a really good, intense, thrilling scene.
Mm-hmm. What'd you guys think of the music? That's become iconic.
Loved it.
Yeah, Hans Zimmer did, I believe, right?
Dude,
yeah.
What in God?
The man never misses, unless he did, and I just don't know about it.
I don't think he missed with this one. This one, he probably had whatever drugs were at Christopher Nolan's party and cooked with it.
The entire crew. He's like, you know what, guys, I'll supply it. Just do your job. It's fine. It's gonna be great, and it is. Most time, it is.
It's crazy to think like, I don't know how they're able to keep this a secret. Like, if I was on set, I mean, I tell my friends and family, like, dude, the stuff that we did today, insane. And I just want to see, like, I want to be a fly on the wall and just see how the shooting went for this and Inception.
God, the special effects alone is just like,
dude, they probably took the design, or the team for the special effect. They probably were like,
and that's one of the things I don't know. I don't know how it works with Interstellar, but I know that Nolan's not a huge fan of using like CGI and VFX as much, because with Oppenheimer there's no CGI at all. It's all practical. And then for Tenet, the film that it is, the one airport scene where the plane crashes into it. It was actually cheaper for him to buy a plane, crash it into said airport, and then repair everything than it was to just do the like CGI with it.
If it was his choice, they'd be in space and filming this.
Oh, yeah,
dude.
Because that was a joke online whenever Oppenheimer was in production. They were like, they're really going to let him drop an atomic bomb. And then it came out that they were making like a miniature scale of it.
Yeah.
And like, oh my God.
Yeah.
That's why it's crazy to think, to even have the idea, like, did he go to space for it? Because if he did, I believe it. Yeah. I mean,
telling you,
if there was anybody to do it, it would be him. Because like this came out, I'm trying to think, a year after Gravity with Sandra Bullock, and that also
Matt Damon was also that was George Clooney.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that one too, like has like awesome space special effects.
Yeah.
And I feel like in the early 2000s we were getting or mid 2000s we were getting 2010. Sorry, we were getting a lot of like space movies. Like we got Martian. We got this,
which had Matt Damon in it.
Matt Damon, yeah, it's everybody's the same stuff. And then like now, I don't think we get a lot of unless Marvel movies. But it's like
I would not consider Marvel movies like.
But how it's like
are they in space? Yes, but are they along the lines with like 2001, Interstellar, and all that?
Yeah,
no.
But like the way that they look like is so like this one in Marvel, it's like
like it's
night and day.
primary.
Yeah, it's crazy how good it is and how like now we can just brush it off and be like, oh, they're on this planet, but it's like, dude, that's like an entirely fabricated planet. And I was gonna talk to you guys. It's an observation I have like in Star Wars. I know you haven't seen Star Wars, Cam, but
Star Wars.
you love Star Wars. Okay,
Not the sequels. We don't talk about.
well, yeah, those are kind of
They're bad.
dog crap, but they're bad. Anywho, like when you're making a movie and you're trying to like design this planet, I've noticed that like in Star Wars and like this movie, like every planet is like either an elemental planet, if that makes sense. Like
Earth, water.
like when I was a kid, was a kid, I used to think like, oh, there's gonna be a planet made out of like cotton candy, or a planet where like things are just random like stuff they're coming up with. But I feel like in most movies, like Star Wars especially, it's like, oh, there's a fire planet, there's a planet where it's just a forest, it's a planet where it's just water. You know what I mean?
And maybe I don't know how science works, but maybe it's like a science thing where, with as the elements get like combined and stuff, like the hydrogen, all that, like those are just the elements you end up with, or like water. And
I don't think George Lucas knows a thing about space.
No, he didn't.
I don't think he knows. It's Christopher Nolan, on the other hand. I mean, he obviously teaches himself the entire theory of everything. So I don't know. It was an observation I had, and it was just one of those things because like when they get on the water planet, I'm just like, oh, that's cool. But it's like, I wonder if Christopher Nolan like had no limitations and everything with like planetary thing he could come up with. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was crazy too because when they got to the water planet, they had like that it's kind of off topic, but they had that how high the waves were that you thought it was a mountain. So
yeah,
I guess I'll try and connect it. It was kind of like that Earth part element, like natural, geographic. I don't know if that's like the right term. Yeah, like mountains and fire and whatever. But they had them so high that they look like mountains. The waves of water. So I don't know. I guess that's kind of like.
And I think that is to the kind of dread with that scene too in its entirety. Whenever they were like looking at the mountains and stuff, and with the theme in the background and the day ticking, and they're like, oh, those are not mountains. And then like the theme speeds up and like the intensity is rushing.
Yeah. Matthew McConaughey gives us that nice like he tells the audience like, oh, that's not a mountain.
Yeah.
Those are waves. Yeah, they're now. And then So what'd you guys think about the scene where he's in kind of like that, he's in like the fifth dimension thing, and he's like floating and he's behind the bookshelf. He's basically like seeing the past. What'd you guys think of that? And like also the reveal of what that whole scene was like.
I think because I like whenever in movies that are kind of sci-fi or deal with some sort of time travel, I like loops. I think it's just a really creative thing. Granted, I don't like it when it's overdone so much, but I think this one, it did a really good job because I didn't expect that to be the case. I just like, because whenever you first see it, you're genuinely like, that's really weird. What is that? And then you go the entire movie and it just keeps getting weirder with stuff like that. And then whenever it gets to the end and all of it gets explained, and like it just kind of clicks and makes sense. But I don't really appreciate that there was no explanation on who actually put the wormhole there, because it was not Cooper, and they just did not explain. So I don't know if that means somebody else just happened to be there beforehand.
I don't even think they explain, like, do they explain the like dust thing, like kind of
inside in the bedroom?
No, just like the dust, like stuff going on in general. Like, because I know it's like eating away the crops, and it's like basically like poisoning.
I think it was mostly just like a
Earth thing,
like a Earth world pollution, messed up thing.
Yeah, that's the reason I'm trying to. Oh, I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, it's all right.
It was like I think that was like causing everyone to need to leave, because I know they didn't like explain really what it was, but they didn't explain where it came from, but they're explaining like what it's harming, like what it's doing. Everything.
It's just kind of like Earth basically telling them get off, like you need to leave.
And that's one of the other things that it did a really good job, is also making that not just as kind of the fantasy of it with like, ooh, massive dust cloud kill crops.
Yeah.
It's like actually a little more grounded, especially in the parent-teacher conference scene where Murph gets in trouble for getting in a fight with her classmates over the moon landing because the new textbooks say that the moon landing was faked. And like the reason behind that was the government's funding for NASA and
propaganda and stuff. Yeah,
and they blamed it as propaganda and then cut NASA off and made it work in secret because public opinion wouldn't allow for anything other than farming.
I mean, I can only imagine myself being in that parent-teacher conference and having to deal with that. I'd be like, well, good for them. Good for them. And he comes out and he's like, I got you suspended from school.
Yeah.
I think that scene was really funny, though, when in the delivery that McConaughey gives whenever she's like, we were going to talk with you and see if you had any ideas on the home front about what to do. And he's like, oh, there's this ball game.
Yeah.
Favorite team. She wanted to go. I think I'll take her to this.
Yeah. That was funny.
You're right.
And like with that, you mentioned Matthew McConaughey, and like the scene prior where he's in like the fifth dimension. What do we think of the acting overall?
You couldn't ask for anything better out of anyone.
Marv.
Timothy Chalamet could have been better.
Well, I mean, he's also really young.
I know. Well, was he? How young was he? He plays a 15-year-old, but like he's been like 27 for like 8 years.
It feels like it. I want to say that currently, I mean, you could probably look it up, but I want to say
Wow, how old he is?
He was like 18, I think, maybe.
18.
Possibly.
Wow.
I know he's not under 15. There's no way. But
He is 15. At the beginning, he's 15.
yeah, but like
In real
him
life.
as like a person, he's
Yeah.
not 15.
As a human being.
As a human being, not a character.
But I thought the acting, like, obviously Matthew McConaughey, amazing. Like, and this is a role that I don't think, like,
Wait, 2014.
because, like, when you have all the Christopher Nolan movies, you have, like, that set crew, like Cillian Murphy, Tom Hardy, Matt Damon, you know what I mean? But,
Yeah.
like, Matthew McConaughey, you're kind of just like, oh, wow, this is kind of a different movie. Because he was in True Detective, which is more of a dramatic TV show. Did you see True Detective?
Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
I know he was in it. I thought that was just like, that was another guy in it.
Woody Harrelson and him are in that movie.
Yeah.
And, like,
Aren't they supposed to be brothers?
I thought that was a show.
I thought that was
yeah,
a
it
biological
is a
thing.
show.
They
True
were,
Detective. Did I say movie?
Yeah.
Show.
Okay.
They were in one season, and about them being brothers, I think that like there's people who think that, well, them themselves think that they're related somehow. Like,
I thought it was something with
Are they
their
brothers?
mom. I think it was something with their mom, like different dads but same mom or something from some like 23andMe test or something.
good lord, they need to get that tested. They need to know. That's gonna be kind of a bombshell, like headline.
Yeah, I mean they might have already.
You'll cover it.
I could. They might have already said that they are or not. I don't know for sure. It's been a while since I've looked into that.
I don't know. I kind of need to look into that. But anywho,
He was
Um,
19.
he was 19 in this.
Timothy Chalamet.
Chalamet.
Yeah.
Wow.
Play at 19. Playing a 15-year-old. I could probably do that. I feel like I could play a young kid.
You could play a young kid.
I'd be a
How tall are you, Kim?
6'1".
Right,
I am 6'1".
little kid.
You think you could have played Matthew McConaughey's like kid in this movie? You think you could have done a better job than Tim?
Could you have
Chalamet?
given the emotion?
The emotional
Chalamet.
range as much as Tim?
Yeah.
Tim.
What about the flat tire scene? Could you change the tire?
Absolutely, I couldn't.
Did he even change the tire in this?
No.
Yeah, that's
on the
no.
flat.
He's like, what are we gonna do about this now?
What do you say? Like, change the gear? Like,
He said, grab the spare, and Timothy goes, that is the spare, and then cuts, and like the tire's just magically back. Or
we don't have time. What we got? 3 hours to get through. We don't have time for that stuff. But yeah, like I was saying, because he was in Dallas Buyers Club. He was in the movie Mud, and I think that was more like late 2000s, early 2010s. So to kind of see him like do drama after being in like rom-coms, I feel like this is such a crazy job. I'd say this is probably like a high point in his career.
yeah.
I don't think he's kind of come back from since, I feel like.
yeah, I've not seen too many things with him in it, but as far as the things that I know that he has been in, I like Interstellar is just the one that comes to mind for me.
You guys don't remember this one? This
Yeah,
5 minutes?
I want you to be very clear that like I am setting time aside this week to watch it. I've not watched
Really?
it yet.
You haven't seen this?
I've not seen yet. No,
I haven't seen The Wolf of Wall Street.
I'm setting time aside this week.
Wow.
I've been meaning to get around
celebrities
to it.
as well. That's a crazy list of celebrities.
Yeah, maybe we should talk about that. That'd be. What if we dropped as many F-bombs as they did?
Oh,
'Cause they set a record. That was like,
They set a record.
yeah, it was like 500 or something. But then somebody else broke it. What if we dropped a 30-minute podcast and then just did?
we broke the record. there.
F-bomb,
Oh,
yeah.
broke 500 F-bombs and that'd be nuts.
That's crazy.
But what do you guys think of the side characters as well? Like Anne Hathaway.
She did good. She didn't seem like she was in it as much as I thought she was. Because I watched it the first time, or this is my second time watching it. And I just feel like she didn't have a lot of. I don't know. It was just obviously it was mostly Matthew McConaughey, but I thought she would be in it more. Maybe I just wish she was. But I thought the younger daughter of Jessica Chastain, that was like great casting.
Oh yeah,
Because
really good.
one, it looks exactly like her. Two, she was just a great actress. Now, I keep saying I don't like children actors because they kind of suck. but maybe I should like change my opinion because I think for the past couple of weeks I've said there's been like good actors and actresses. But casting, or the side characters was great. Jessica Chastain alone was awesome. Matt Damon, he's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's cool too.
Yeah, he's all right. Yeah, his acting was. I don't know if I want to say his acting or like just his whole storyline was pretty good. Like the whole switch in terms, which I didn't really understand.
So I didn't understand it too much either because I think he did good with the acting that he gave for that performance.
Mm-hmm.
But for him getting off that rock and then not just assuming to go home like he was going to push to the next planet, why did he just not tell them up front, there's nothing there, can we go elsewhere? There was no
him
justification.
I didn't understand that part.
That might have slipped Christopher Nolan's mind when they were writing it because they were still high. They were still high.
Maybe Matt Damon paid to be in this movie. Maybe he was like, put me in wherever you want, and then they were like, all right, Matt, we got the perfect thing for you. They put him in, and he's gone.
Yeah. What do you guys think?
Of the acting? I thought the acting was pretty. Like I said, Matthew McConaughey is like obviously a career high for him. Anne Hathaway. I mean, she does a good job. I don't think it's her best performance. I think her best performance was, oh Lord,
Dark Knight trilogy.
Devil.
No, God, no.
Devil Wears Prada.
Jesus. No. What's the musical? Les
Miserables.
I think that may have been her best performance, unless I'm forgetting another Anne Hathaway movie. But she's good. Like, she's good in it. I think that Michael Caine obviously is good in everything. Jessica just and I think the standout in the whole thing probably was Matthew McConaughey and that kid actress, or the kid actress, because they're just back and forth. They do such a good job of establishing that relationship through her being young that when he meets her being old, it's like you're not so distracted by the fact that it's a different actor. You kind of just see...
You just assume that it's the same
Yeah,
person.
You see that little girl through her, and I feel like that's a hard ask to do. Like, especially for this old woman actress where it's like, okay, you have to take all of what she did and, like, display that.
Yeah.
But also displaying that 80-year jump. That's crazy.
Because I think it's really hard for whenever you have something like that with multiple actors playing the same person, whether it's different ages or not, whatever it is. Like, it's really hard to capture it to where you don't see it as, oh, this random actor shows up and then it's back to whoever. It's just you're looking at the character.
Mm-hmm. And I have to admit, I don't think Casey Affleck was a great old version of Timothée Chalamet. Like, they kind of look the same, but, like, I don't... Compared to the girl, it's like... Because, like, when I look at Jessica Chastain? Whatever, we'll say it.
Jessica.
It's like, you're like, oh, that looks like an older version of her. But with Casey Affleck, it's like, that's a completely different person. Like, he doesn't resemble it. His voice is kind of like...
He seems a little bit edgier to me than he did prior. Because, I mean, granted, like, he went through a lot after 20, or went, because, like, his first kid died, like, you know, had just a bunch going on. So I could understand that part of him just feeling really emotional and not really caring about the world being a little edgier. But the way the Timothée Chalamet portrays, I think it's Tom is his name, in the earlier way, it just seems a little bit more upbeat. Mm-hmm. So it's a little weird transition.
I mean, he's 15. Like, you say, he's really young. And I think that's something the film does, is like, it could have easily have not shown us kind of their story as well as Matthew McConaughey's. We could have just been with Matthew McConaughey for like 2.5 hours and then get back and then, like, you know, she's old and everything. But I feel like having Jessica Chastain, like, work for NASA with Michael Caine before he dies, I think kind of having her have like a storyline along with it being older, I think that gives it a lot more like depth to it. A little bit, sorry. A little more depth to it, I think. Yeah, sorry. Depth. But did you guys also appreciate kind of that decision to tell their story through their life, like while Matthew McConaughey's kind of like living the same amount of time, but at a completely different...
Yeah, I think it makes sense too, because, you know, if we're getting like, I don't know, I don't want to go the whole movie without, this, I'm following this guy through space and he's just missing his kids, but we don't see him. So I think
the biggest problem with that movie right there.
Yeah, man, that movie.
That it's just in space and it's the most boring thing ever. Cool poster though. But anyway,
absolutely,
that's
movies.
I agree. I think it would have been a little, like a little boring had, you know, they just focused on solely McConaughey in space, because then the way that has it with it's intertwined is you genuinely feel for McConaughey's character.
Yeah.
Like you understand what he's going through. He's like, oh, like my grandkid is dead. Like I can't be there to console my kid.
Dark.
Well, that's what happened.
Yeah, the way you just dropped it on us, though, my grandkid is dead.
I mean, they drop it just as subtly in the movie. They're just
do.
like, we lost whatever Nate was. And so, like, I feel like if you didn't have that back and forth throughout the movie and it skips and, you know, you're at the end, he gets back home, well, then you have to explain all of that. And if you don't, then, you know, as people talking about film and then me trying to be a film critic, like, well, the question I would ask is just what happened to them?
Yeah.
Why is there no recognition or acknowledgement of them at all?
Yeah. And I think it also, like, if they didn't have it, I think it would just kind of wouldn't have a big of a punch, like, in terms of that family storyline, which I think grounds the film in a film that's so advanced and how it's, like in the stuff they're talking about. So it's like, if you're someone who does not like science, and it's like, you're like, oh, that.
Oh, okay. That's really like science movie.
Oh, no, it's just science in general. And
Okay,
like,
yeah.
And like, so if I'm watching, I'm just kind of like, I have no clue what they're talking about, but like, I need him to get back because I want him to be with his family. You know, it like adds that bit of it. Because which I think was kind of the problem with Tenet, was that it went all into the science fiction stuff and left you way behind because the character doesn't even have a name in Tenet. He's the protagonist.
I couldn't even finish Tenet.
Like, it's not good
because
it's not good, and I'm tired of people saying it's good. We will have to talk about that movie because I hate it. My friends loved it. I
got about halfway through, and then I was like, I don't understand what's happening, and then just like watched The Office.
And you can't hear it. You can't hear anybody, which is something I was going to ask you. Did you guys have it? Because I know Christopher Nolan's like famous for having like not audio problems, but it's just the music is just so like sometimes overbearing on their voices when they talk. I don't think this movie had that at all.
I don't think it had that issue.
Because they're in space.
Not in this one, but in Oppenheimer, like, golly, man.
Yeah.
Like, you couldn't hear anything. I'm not cursing. That's too much.
And going off what Drew had just said with like it being in space, that's one of the other things I really appreciate with both just the sound and science aspect is the like there is no sound in space. And so then any shot outside of Endurance and stuff, when they're docking especially, you can go from hearing the beeps inside the control module and then it's just
Yeah.
Yeah. And I like those parts. When they cut it off, I think when at the end of when they were talking, what's his name? Matthew? Yeah, when he was talking to his kid and they had that like infamous like him crying scene.
Yeah.
And he sees him from the movie's gone for 30 years. And then when it cuts off, it's just dead silent because the music cuts out and it's just him sitting there until his daughter comes up. So
When he's given his Oscar baited performance, he's like, "Oh, this is gonna get me nominated," and he didn't.
No,
he won.
I don't think he won.
He won an Oscar for Dallas Buyers. Yeah,
No, they
Did he
only
get nominated.
no for this one.
Yeah,
Or maybe nominated, but he didn't win.
Yeah.
I think who'd they give it to? I just looked it up.
was it Michael Keaton for Birdman?
Yes, it was. No.
J.K. Simmons.
No. That Birdman.
Best supporting actor.
Birdman won Best Picture.
Who won in 2014? Look it up for us. I'm
For
very
which
curious.
one? For
2014 Best Actor. Like
okay, best
because J.K. Simmons for Whiplash was Best Supporting
20.
that year.
I think it would have been 2015, right?
Oh yeah, 2015.
I don't know who protagonist would have been.
I looked it up. It wasn't either of them either. I don't
Yeah.
think.
Some out there movie. I don't even know what it would. It's gonna be the most popular movie of all time.
And we're just like blanking on it.
Yeah.
They weren't even nominated.
What?
Best actor, Interstellar. No one. Yeah, Michael Keaton, Birdman, Benedict Cumberbatch, The Imitation Game, Steve Carell, Foxcatcher, Bradley Cooper, American Sniper, Eddie Redmayne, The Theory of Everything.
It was him. Eddie Redmayne. Yeah, because he played Stephen Hawking. He won it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But like, gosh, it's.
I don't know.
I still feel like not being nominated.
I
was a
couldn't
little
get-
strange.
I couldn't get mad at it though because
Those are good performances, though.
yeah,
They are. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Just not acknowledging Interstellar is.
Well, a lot of those are like them playing. Like it's like a biopic. Like
Yeah.
half of this.
Yeah.
Like American Sniper, Eddie. So I feel like those are looked at differently because it's like, oh, this one person having to completely portray another person. Where this movie, it's like, it's Matthew McConaughey, but it's really good. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, this.
I don't stand the Oscars.
Yeah, man, Oscars, Grammys, they're kind of.
I mean, somebody got slapped at the last one we had, so we'll see what happens this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's two Oscars ago. I think, right? Didn't they? I mean, was that 2 years ago or was that?
Yeah, I remember, bro. I
Maybe
took
two.
it was 2.
I don't pay attention.
Freshman
Yeah.
year, I had like a whole class talk about it. Like
We talked about it, didn't we?
we did,
Yeah.
and it was,
Culture shock.
dude.
It's funny going around school, like talking to friends, because I hadn't really, like, I didn't watch it.
High school.
But no, because I didn't watch the Oscars, and I didn't hear anything about it until I was at breakfast and I saw the video of the slap. Like as I was eating
I
breakfast,
watched it live.
I was like, "Oh, that's wild."
That's a,
Watching it live with your mother, that is something. And a dad,
what the?
a dad who just woke up from a nap, coming in going, "Oh, that's nuts," and then just went to bed. I'm like, "No, that is nuts."
They over dramatized it, dude. Like it's just a man slapping a man. He just happened to do it in a suit. We can't on.
Sure.
But
Chris Rock made some money off that. Wait, what movie were we talking about?
we did just go on the whole.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Get off topic.
I guess I'll ask, and this will probably be like kind of the last question of the podcast, unless you guys come up with something.
Yeah, I
else.
have one more.
With this movie, like in Christopher Nolan, I think besides him and Jordan Peele and David Fincher, kind of, I think that they're kind of the last breed of directors that are making original stuff. You know, stuff that they come up with and like these complex ideas. What do you guys think of having that maintained now? Because Christopher Nolan's getting old. I mean, he's gonna, I don't know how old he is.
He's not that old. Scorsese's old. He's scared this is his last one.
He's
Yep.
But how important is it for you guys to have that? Because I feel like nowadays it's just like recycled stuff all the time. Things.
And you watch stuff like Oppenheimer and Interstellar and all the other stuff like those more original directors have made, it just makes you want more of that, because
Yeah.
as you see the other movies where most of them it's just kind of fodder as a director, you want something that's more original and entertaining than just the same cycle of garbage.
What do you think, Em?
I don't. Yeah, it's important. Because I don't know what I do without Christopher Nolan, man. I don't. But I don't. Maybe because I'm just not. Maybe I'm just. I don't know anything about it, but I don't know any like up and coming directors. Like I haven't seen any. Like you said, Jordan Peele. He's one of them. But other than that,
It's been like 10 years. He's been kind of in like the
yeah, and
making stuff.
we don't really have. There's this one guy who made the director of Annihilation, and they made Ex Machina.
I guess Damien Chazelle.
Yeah,
he's
he did
also-
Black Panther, didn't he?
No, he made. Am I blanking? The guy who made La La Land.
Yeah, yeah.
And I guess
La La Land was really good.
I guess the guy who
That's-
made Dune too. The Dennis who made Prisoners.
Isn't that Dana Zavi?
Was like Vavela. I don't even know. But I guess there are. But like
They're not that big.
No.
Maybe that's what it is.
Christopher Nolan's like the big, like even Oppenheimer, like everyone was going to the movies for that. Where I feel like the other people are like they'll make movies that are really good, but they're just not as like globally.
Yeah,
seen.
like people go for the name Christopher Nolan. Like I'll hear Dune, I'm like, oh, what's that? But the name isn't. The directors don't really have the name.
Yeah.
So maybe because they're newer. La La Land was pretty big. So,
Yeah.
but I don't know. Maybe I'm just not.
Yeah.
too-
I mean, Christopher Nolan has had like what 30 years, 20 years to like establish himself, and he like has consistently been doing it for 20 years.
Especially since the start, because I don't even
2000 or
first was, but
oh, what his friend?
his first movie. Well, his first like official was 1998 with like the following movie, but his first like actual movie was Memento. That was like his big.
Was that what year was that? I want to say 01.
2000.
Okay.
you're close enough.
But yeah, I don't know, because like you said, everyone goes for the name. Like nobody goes to see superhero movies for the name. Like you know what I mean? Like
Because
Sam Raimi kind of was the exception because everybody was,
Raimi was an exception with Multiverse of Madness, I guess.
but it turned out
it could have been better.
it could have been better. But
I do have a question about the ending of Oppenheimer. Or no, of wow, we've been talking about so many other movies.
Garfield,
Yeah, of Interstellar. I didn't understand like the last maybe like half an hour.
Which part?
Uh,
Well, obviously lasts like half hour.
yeah. So like when they're trying to go back, and I think I have it written down. Let me see. Like they're going. So I know after Anne Hathaway, they're trying to like they shipped him off. No, Matthew McConaughey dropped down so Anne Hathaway could go off.
Yeah.
But like after that, I don't really understand anything after.
That's kind of where
After that, I don't understand anything that happens after. Yeah,
it dives really hard into the more sci-fi aspect of that, not where like it draws more on the science, but more on the fiction part of it, where there's bits of the science, like once you fall in the black hole, what happens? Nobody knows, and you can just make it up.
Yeah.
And then when he is getting closer to the end, it looks like it's a planet, like it's a spherical shape. But then as he goes through, it's actually just a bunch of grids. And as soon as he hits the first grid, like that theme starts playing, and it's like hard hitting piano stuff.
Whoa.
Is that the theme that?
But no, like that's what happens. And then as he's going through and whatnot, he figures out that that the ghost that Murph saw the entire movie was him, that he put themselves in that position. And so like kind of closes that loop that I had mentioned earlier. And then that gives Murph the answers to help Earth still stay alive and whatnot.
It all comes together. It all comes with a nice bow.
Cam's still looking really confused to me.
You might have to give it a rewatch.
It's this be about third time. We're going to ratings, gentlemen.
Yeah, what would you give it out of 5?
I would give it a 5 out of 5. Between the stellar acting for sure. The sound,
stellar.
the acting, I just mentioned that, but like the sound too is really good. It really sticks with you because, Oppenheimer had the same way too for me, where after you hear the piano and different stuff in the background, it just kind of sticks with you.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the plot and the time travel aspect stuff because I really like time travel.
Yeah, I'll give it a 4.5. I think because I didn't fully understand it, I can't give it a 5. And I feel like it's not one of those where I should be confused. I just need to keep reading about it and keep watching it.
Learn quantum physics.
Exactly.
Yeah,
But the music.
And the Nolan drug parties and learn the script with them.
Get an invite. Get RSVP quick.
Yeah, I would love to go.
Yeah.
But I think the music, like you said, so inspirational, man. It the first time I watched it was over the summer. And after I watched it, I had to drive for like 45 minutes. And what's funny about it?
I had to drive for like 45 minutes. I can just imagine going, just hearing the music. Just like,
That's exactly what I did. I was driving, and then like when it kicked up, and I'm like,
you were listening to it the other day on your computer.
I was.
Yeah.
I listened to that stuff when I'm like doing homework. But yeah, when I was driving and it like kicked up, dun, dun, I took my hands off the wheel for like I was felt like I was just floating.
The person behind you driving. Why is the car drifting?
You just start blaring from the car. I, and what I saw, would probably give it a 4. I probably give it a 4 out of 5. Like I said, I think it's really, really good. I think just for me, like I like space movies. I just think like I'm just not smart enough to to keep up with like the science fiction stuff enough to like keep, being engaged the whole time. And that's not really a fault to Christopher Nolan at all, because like I'd rather him do that than be like, okay, here's what 2 + 2 = 4, and we're gonna get here. So I appreciate that he like takes that extra step. It doesn't like he makes his movie, doesn't make other people's movie, if that makes sense.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really like for that way. And like you said, the acting, the music, the visuals, Jesus, oh my God,
The visuals are so good.
and they just make you feel like you're actually in space. And I just think it's a very, very, very good film. Christopher Nolan, you did it again. Until Tenet, where I am not happy with you. But yeah, that has been an episode for Interstellar. Luke, thank you so much for
Thanks for having on, man.
It's been a blast. Hope you like the applaud.
I do like the applaud. It's a nice machine.
It's very nice. But yeah, thank you for having us on. What?
What? You thanking me for having you on?
Thank you for having us on. I appreciate it, Luke. We are very thankful that you asked us to be on your podcast. I've clearly talked way too much, and today has been a long day. That has been the Dudes Talk Movies podcast for Interstellar. I'm Drew.
I'm Cam.
I'm Luke.
And we will see you next week.
Bye.